Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. Pre-market report, let's talk. We just got some economic news, and the reason why this video is out a little late is because I was waiting for it. Imagine our shock. Are you ready for this one? All right, here we go. So inflation continues to rise. Really? Oh no. Wholesale prices, yes, came in higher in December, but it's being played up as a miracle. Oh yes, believe me. Turn on the mainstream media. They're jumping around the office. They're having little frolicking around parties. This is less than expected. In other words, they were expecting inflation to rise more so than it did. What are we really talking about? Currency devaluation. Oh, yes, indeed. But you're not supposed to know that. But an interesting thing happened overnight here. In comments that were made later on in the day by Donald Trump, the European markets are happy about what they heard. So here we go. So European shares regained some ground after tariff jitters ease. Let me read this to you real quick. So European shares recouped some losses on Tuesday following a report that U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, it says elect, okay, is now in talks about imposing targeted, gradual tariff hikes instead of blanket tariffs. And the European markets did reasonably well overnight. Trump team studies gradual tariff hikes under Emergency Powers Act. All right. So, however this plays out, the European markets were happy to hear that they're not going to be slammed with tariffs. Instead, they're going to be targeted and they're going to be gradual. Okay. On the back of that news about targeted and gradual tariffs, and of course, the fact that inflation continues to rise, you got stock futures higher, okay, across the board, nothing dramatic, but higher nonetheless. You got gold and silver. I'm going to call this flat right now. You got Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies doing pretty well across the board. Remember, cash seeks yield. The other thing I want you guys and girls to keep in mind, if you look at the fear and greed index, we are pinned to fear right now. So this should be a time where you see buyers rush into this market's bottom fishers, especially on the back, again, of two things. Number one, inflation continues to rise. This is, and the fact that it's being played up by the mainstream media as, okay, it could have been worse. What's the setup here? Just, you already know what it is. The Fed is going to continue to cut rates. Just count on that happening here. And that means currency purchasing power destruction. It means higher markets. Unless, of course, this continues. Are you ready? Here you go. Global bond sell-off is deepening. Imagine our shock here. There's a big problem here. And let me show you what they're trying to convince you of. Are you ready? It's the bond vigilantes. You know it's the bond vigilantes. It can't possibly be that the system is illiquid. Oh, no, it's not that. Again, it's about assigning blames. These things don't even exist. There's no such thing as bond vigilantes. But you must be convinced that there is. And it's bond vigilantes that are causing the global sell-off in debt. Again, has nothing to do with the fact that the system right now is teetering on the edge of a meltdown, unless action is taken. Look, it's central banks who run it all. You know that. If they don't get in here and start buying more debt, well, this is going to get much worse. And look at this, man. I think anyone right now that's bottom fishing in this market, you got to be nuts. You got to be a little bit on the nutty side, or really have a risk tolerance that is in the stratosphere. There is no guarantee, honestly, and I think we're on the same page, that this is going to stop. That the Fed is going to get in here along with other central banks. This is a worldwide phenomenon. But it's the worldwide vigilantes that are doing it. Remember, that's what they got to convince you of. It's about assigning blame. It's always about assigning blame. And that should bother you a little bit. It bothers me too. They have to pin the blame on these mythical vigilantes that don't exist so you can feel better about it. Oh, the vigilantes are going to go away. People, look, all of you out here, understand the reality of the situation. We are in a debt crisis like the world has never seen. And the only way they can kick the can down the road just a little bit more until the full-on implosion is by inflating the debt even more and coming up with any reason on the planet, even the things of nightmares, okay, to allow the system to inflate. Are we on the same page? This is why we're seeing what we're seeing here in California and everywhere else. People, it's not going to stop. War, expanding war, whatever they got to do to devalue the currency, to allow the system to inflate. Central banks are in full control. They're the puppet masters. They're pulling the strings. Everything else is just a game here. And I think we're pretty much on the same page. So what does this mean for you and I, honestly? You all know that I am 90% out of this market right now. I pulled out exactly at the right time. I think you all know that here. It's interesting how this played out. Let's talk about it. Last Federal Reserve meeting, the FOMC meeting, what happened? The Fed lowered rates. But what was the effect of that? The long end of the yield curve? Well, a paradox occurred. The polar opposite of what they expected to happen here. And that was the long end of the curve started to say, hold on a minute, we got a problem. Okay, 10-year yield rose 10 to the 30, came up here, punished the stock markets. I told you what I did. I got out. I eased back in. I mean, we're talking about a fraction of what I had in this market last time. Just to dabble a little bit. And I have no intention of adding right here, despite the fact that you got the fear index in a spot where, generally this should be where the cavalry arrives. But the real cavalry is got to be central banks. They must get in here and buy debt. I would not be surprised to see a little knee-jerk higher. First of all, a couple of things just happened, as you know. We got Trump saying, hold on a second, maybe we're not going to slam tariffs on everyone like he said he was going to do during the campaign. Look, don't hold this against the guy. I'll be honest with you, they all lie. He had to get you psyched up and, oh yeah, we're going to blast the world with tariffs and they're going to pay for it. But no, not so much. That's how politicians work. It's not just him. All right. They do this. It's a bait and switch. It's always a bait and switch, a bait and switch, a bait and switch. So again, this is just politics. We all know that. So we got that right there, which is stock market positive. Obviously, we saw the European markets last night. You got this situation here where we should see buyers step in. So you may see a little jump here in the market. Maybe not. We don't know. It all depends on what happens as we move forward with regard to the global sell-off in the debt market. You all know that. You know this better than anybody. And I'm very proud to say that all of you out here that follow this blog, you're not fixated like this. You're not fixated on the stock market because it's nothing but a derivative. The entire stock markets of the world are nothing but derivatives now as to what's happening in the debt market. That's the driver. When the debt market implodes, everything else is going to implode with it. Cash is just going to move from one reality into another. I'm still telling you where it's going to go. It's a no-brainer. It's going to make its way into suppressed assets, commodities across the board, and it's going to make its way into cryptocurrencies, period. It's a no-brainer here, quite honestly. But let's see how this plays out. It's kind of been interesting with the situation here. I think, look, this is a great time to be alive, in my opinion here, people. That's kind of it. Let's see where we go. How many of you are surprised at all to find out that inflation is still rising? In other words, currency devaluation is continuing and they're not going to stop. Could this end? Could they stop inflation? Could central banks stop inflation in its tracks? Absolutely they could. Two things they have to do. Number one, contract the global money supply. Number two, vastly increase rates. That would provide a boost to the purchasing power of the currency. But you see, that can't be allowed to happen. You have to be made to suffer as they issue in the new system, as we're being bridged into the new system. And everybody, here's the issue. Everybody knows it's coming. Everybody knew this from years ago. And now it's happening. Where's the pushback? Where is the public outcry? Nowhere. Why? Because people have been conquered, none more so than here in the United States. But you guys and girls know the deal. You know what you're doing. We're going to continue to bet against the debt, become our own central banks, hoard hard assets. Silver, my favorite asset on the planet Earth. Yes, you still need cryptocurrency in your portfolio here. Stay out of the market for now. If you wanted to get back in here and dabble and play a little bit, if you have play money, not any cash that you can't afford to lose. All right. Well, then you're going to stay out of here. You understand? Anyway, look, we got this down, people. They're going to continue to play their games. We're going to play ours. Look, as far as I am concerned, you and I, we remain invincible. Because again, we know their playbook. We know what they're going to do. It's not going to stop. Currency devaluation, people, mark my words. We haven't seen anything yet with regard to that. Central banks are going to continue to lower rates moving forward. You're going to hear from world leaders about how we need lower rates and maybe even negative rates moving forward. That's the game. That's the game. I think we're pretty much on the same page here. And that means destruction for the world economy and, of course, its people as well. What a shame, honestly. People they're being wiped out. And that mechanism is in full swing right now, unfortunately. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what life is like on the other side. First of all, the other side, maximum control. By that point here, we will have the full tokenized system. And right now, the bridge is obviously being built to it. And there's no pushback. Imagine when you have people that are sheep leading themselves to the slaughter. There's no talk about a constitutional money system or return to a constitutional money system. We're being pulled further and further away from it. I mean, this is stuff you and I have known for I don't know how freaking long. And that's just the way it's going to go, unfortunately. People, this guy here loves you from the heart with all I got. I mean it. If you got something out of this video, if I have earned your thumbs up, I would appreciate that. And also, please share the video, get it out there. And comment, what do you think? Are you surprised about anything whatsoever that we're talking about, that we've spoken about this morning? Or is this all exactly what you would expect it to be? Of course it is. It's exactly what you would expect it to be. Just be ready for what they have coming for us here. They must inflate the system. They must inflate the system. If you take one thing away from this video, remember, they must inflate the system, meaning be ready for anything. Anything. They got to throw more cash at whatever they got to throw at here. And they're going to find ways to do it. Like I said yesterday, if they have to burn down an entire state or half the nation, if they have to come up with another reason, whatever it might be, okay? We don't know what it's going to be. We know that more than likely we're going to see expanding war. More than likely we could possibly see another disease scamdemic thrust upon us. Whatever they got to do to allow the system to inflate. And of course, we lose. They win, we lose. There's going to be no pushback. They're going to assign blame, as they always do. They can't tell you that the system is illiquid. They can't tell you that they must create reasons out of nothing to allow central banks to continue to inflate. You understand? On the same page. Love you all from the heart. We'll see you later. 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern for the live stream. I hope we don't get interrupted like yesterday. Was that epic or what? They don't want you to know things, man. I'm telling you. But that's okay. All right. We got this. All right. I'll see you later.